What if the biggest economic crisis of our time was actually engineered for profit? Behind the chaos of tariffs, trade wars, and collapsing markets, there's a darker story unfolding, one the media won't touch. Donald Trump isn't just battling China or bullying Europe. What is he's turning global instability into a cash machine for himself and his inner circle?
It's not just a company, it's actually an individual. And he made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million. That's not bad, because he's in financials. I've always been.
Today, we're diving into one of the most crucial topics shaping global politics and economics right now: Donald Trump's tariff strategy and the ongoing trade war with China. But this isn't just about taxes on imported goods. It's about power plays, global realignments, economic shockwaves, and the future of the world order as we know it. Recently, Trump announced a 90-day pause on tariffs for countries that haven't retaliated, everyone except China. For China, tariffs are being raised to a staggering 125%. While the media spins this as a simple economic maneuver, the implications go far beyond trade. Trump isn't just fighting for better deals, he's strategically cornering China while reshaping the US's global alliances and internal economy. This 90-day pause isn't just about economics, it's a coordinated campaign. Billionaire investors like Bill Ackman predicted it days before it was announced. Donald Trump even teased the market by posting on his social platform that it was a great time to buy the Dow Jones, just hours before announcing the tariff extension. The markets obviously soared. It looks more like insider coordination than political governance. Trump's tactics have turned into a financial roller coaster where he and his allies make huge gains while the average investor panics.
And he made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million. That's not bad, because he's in financials. I've always been.
Meanwhile, the Europeans are left scratching their heads. The EU, instead of responding to Trump's aggression, announced a 90-day freeze on its response to US tariffs, essentially giving Trump room to maneuver. All this while Trump publicly mocks European leaders, claiming they're begging him for favors.
Because I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything, sir.
The EU's current strategy seems to be, please don't hit us yet, we're still figuring out our response. It's weakness wrapped in diplomacy. Trump's real target, though, is not Europe. It's China, always has been. His approach to Russia, avoiding confrontation, even hinting at partnership, was never about peace. It was about isolating China. The US cannot win a trade war with China if it still depends on them for rare earth metals, advanced manufacturing, and key supply chains. So Trump's strategy is clear: work with Russia, pressure Europe, and crush China economically. But China is no fool. Since 2014, after observing the West's moves in Ukraine, China began distancing itself from US financial dependency. It stopped buying US Treasury bonds aggressively and ramped up gold reserves, buying nearly 3,000 metric tons in the past decade. They knew what was coming. When the US froze Russia's assets, China got the message: we could be next. That's why China has been dumping US debt and devaluing the yuan, to make its exports more competitive in other markets now that the US is cutting them off. But there's a price. Devaluing the yuan undermines international confidence in it as a reserve currency, something China desperately wants within the BRICS framework. Still, it's a necessary sacrifice in the short term to maintain economic momentum. Now, Trump's 90-day strategy is clear: go country by country, demanding that they either stop doing business with China or face rising tariffs. It's a global shakedown. If you let Chinese ships dock in your ports, we'll tax your goods. If you cut China off, we'll give you preferential treatment. It's extortion wearing a suit and tie. Meanwhile, in July, $6 trillion in US debt will mature. Trump needs buyers. So he's using this 90-day window to push countries into buying American debt in exchange for tariff leniency. It's mafia-style geopolitics. And it's working. European companies are in a bind. Many depend on the American market but source their products from China. Now, with 125% tariffs, their margins are destroyed. Trump's strategy is not just to hurt China, it's to hurt everyone doing business with China. And behind this curtain of economic aggression is a deeper game. Trump wants to rebuild US manufacturing by forcing global companies to relocate to America. And the impact on the US itself? The tariffs are a double-edged sword. On one hand, they protect US producers. On the other, they raise costs across the board, especially for industries dependent on Chinese parts. Imagine paying 145% more for a key machine part just because it's made in China. It's a massive blow to US industry, at least in the short term. But Trump's long game is clear. Force US companies to find alternative suppliers, ideally within US borders or allied nations. He's trying to rewire the global economy with the US at the center and China on the margins. Of course, China won't go down without a fight. They're retaliating with their own tariffs and are even devaluing their currency further to soften the impact. But here's the thing. China is heavily dependent on exports. If enough countries under Trump's pressure start blocking Chinese goods, China could face serious internal economic instability. This trade war isn't just about tariffs. It's about global influence, about control over technology, manufacturing, and resources. And Trump knows that economic war with China is also about psychological warfare. That's why he publicly mocks Xi Jinping and dares China to respond. His arrogance isn't just bravado, it's calculated. By humiliating China on the global stage, he's daring them to retaliate. And so far, they've been cautious. Meanwhile, Europe is caught in the middle. Leaders like Ursula von der Leyen try to save face, but they're clearly overwhelmed. They want to act tough, but they depend on US protection and energy. When Trump offered a 0% tariff deal, he quickly pulled back, demanding Europe pay $350 billion in unpaid debts, a made-up figure meant to humiliate them and force more trade concessions. As all this unfolds, we see the deeper strategy. Trump wants to use tariff revenue to pay down national debt, lower taxes, create jobs, and boost security. But the reality is that it's also about saving the US from its debt crisis. Bonds issued a decade ago at ultra-low interest rates are maturing, and refinancing them now would cost 3 times as much. Trump needs lower interest rates desperately, and to get them, he's shaking the global table, hoping fear and instability will drive capital back to the US. China, of course, holds massive US debt, and its next move could be critical. A large sell-off could crash US bond markets, so Trump is trying to simultaneously squeeze China while also keeping it from retaliating too harshly. Meanwhile, we're seeing China prepare for this scenario too. They're in talks with India to strengthen commercial ties. They're setting up alternative supply chains. They know the US is trying to isolate them, and they're hedging their bets by expanding ties with Russia, India, Africa, and Latin America. The next phase of this conflict will go beyond economics. It will reshape alliances. It will determine which currencies rule the next century. It may even shift military dynamics. The US is already using Ukraine and NATO to drain Europe's strength while securing its own position. And China is watching closely, learning, adapting, and preparing.